For 70 years, no one has set foot inside Robert's house, at least not anyone from the outside world. At 87 years old, Robert has lived alone in a home that few would believe exists. Hidden deep in the forest, his house is built entirely from branches, vines, and leaves, materials gathered by hand, shaped by time, and bound by memory. And in all these decades, Robert has never once cleaned it. From the outside, it looks almost like a giant nest, woven into the wood so completely it seems to breathe with the trees. Moss clings to its sides, vines hang like curtains, and birds flit in and out as if it's their own. But inside, it's more than just a shelter. It's a quiet, living archive of one man's life, crafted with patience and untouched by modern tools. Despite its fragile appearance, the structure remains solid. The branches that form the roof and walls have weathered the seasons without failing. The floor, padded by years of fallen leaves, feels soft beneath bare feet. "I don't see it as dirty," Robert says. "This house is alive. It's part of the forest, just like me." What draws people in, at least those who've heard of the place, is not just the house itself, but the story written in its walls. In a dim corner, carvings mark the wood tiny etchings that Robert's late wife made when they first built the home together. Some are symbols, others are words. "Grow with the trees." "Home is where the heart rests." Simple phrases, weathered and soft with time. These carvings are among the few lasting traces of her. "She had a steady hand," Robert whispers. "She gave this place a soul." Over the years, Robert never replaced anything with store-bought goods. He let the forest guide what stayed and what changed. Fallen branches became shelves. Smooth stones he gathered lined the path to the entrance. The vines grew thicker with time, weaving themselves naturally into the frame. Birds often nested in the rafters above his sleeping area. Robert welcomed them. "A house like this shouldn't be only mine," he'd say. "There's no electricity, no plumbing, no locks on the door." The idea of separation, of keeping nature out, never made sense to him. "If the wind can come in, so can kindness," he smiles. And the forest, in return, has taken care of him. Even in storms, the house holds firm. The trees bend but don't break. The roof groans but doesn't collapse. Time moves slowly here. Visitors, though rare, often expect decay, even danger. But what they find instead is quiet, a silence that feels deep, like the air is heavier, older. The light filters through the gaps in the leaves above, casting patterns that move as the sun shifts. In the living room, if you can call it that, branches form a crude bench, and more carvings wind around the frame. In the bedroom, a pile of soft leaves and animal pelts makes up Robert's bed. "I sleep better here than anywhere else," he says. There are no photographs on the walls, no trophies or clutter, just marks left by time. The bend of a branch worn smooth by touch, a hollow in the floor where he kneels to rest. Even the smells, earth, bark, old leaves, feel like part of him. "I don't need to clean it," he explains. "The forest takes care of itself, and I live by its rules." At 78, Robert still rose with the sun and moved slowly through the rhythms of each day. He gathered what he needed, never more. A few berries, a broken limb for firewood, sometimes a patch of moss to repair the roof. He didn't keep track of years anymore. The forest marked time for him, through the color of the leaves and the songs of birds. "This place has held me through love, loss, and time," he says softly. His voice doesn't tremble, but it carries a quiet weight, the kind that only comes from long silence and deep memory. He never planned to live this way. But after his wife passed, leaving the house they built with their own hands felt impossible. Leaving meant forgetting, and Robert wasn't ready to do that. So he stayed, and time, instead of moving past him, began to move with him. He never imagined it would last this long, never thought the walls would hold or that his body would keep up, but somehow it all did. The vines grew thicker, the branches stronger. His hands became slower but more precise. "The house doesn't need fixing," he says. "It just needs to be noticed." There's something sacred about the stillness of his home, a kind of wisdom woven into each branch and leaf. It's not just a shelter, it's a living memory, one that breathes and shifts but never forgets. And Robert has no plans to leave. Not now, not ever. Outside, the world rushes forward. But deep in the woods, in a house made of time and patience, Robert listens to the wind move through the trees. And the forest listens back.